Hi, everyone. Today we have with us Grace Michallet from the United States. She's a Filipino, right? From the United States. And we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, the third eye. So, to get the ball rolling, maybe we can ask Grace to tell us something about herself, the path that she's in, and what led her to be interested in the third eye. Grace?
Great. Thanks so much, Rory. So my path towards third eye is actually quite interesting. I wasn't looking for it. I would have to say it now that my soul led me to it.
Mhm.
So I've been through I'd say challenging or difficult life circumstances, and I've managed to to work through them and actually became a better person. Now, the past couple of years, somehow there's just, and I now know it as a dark night of the soul.
Mm.
That, what used to interest me no longer interests me. What I thought was like a purposeful career no longer was a purposeful career. I had to quit my job
Mhm.
and really look for that path of, I know that I knew for the past decade that there's a purpose in my life,
Okay.
but that purpose wasn't so clear. There's many people that say you're going to help people, but like, yeah, isn't that supposed to be like innate nature of a human? The moment we were born, we were here to love,
Mm.
we are here to help. And I don't feel that to be more of a purpose rather than is the way of living.
Mhm.
So in search for that purpose, and I've been searching for that for, again, a decade. But the past 2 years has truly been instrumental for me because I was knocked down. Basically, like I I love lifting, and somehow I think towards the end of last year I was losing it. I was losing my interest in what I used to love. So I was telling my husband that there's something's off, and I need to figure out what this is.
Mm.
So early part this year, I started uh, seeing stuff that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just like, what is this?
Mm.
So there's it's like an unfolding of a lot of things that I had to go look for the answer,
Mm.
right? And I've always believed that uh, that answer comes with clarity,
Mhm.
comes with wisdom,
Mhm.
comes with patience, and comes with a lot of questioning of the why.
Okay.
I was no longer asking the question of the what, the when. It was like, why? And I think that truly is the why. Why am I here? That's a question of the purpose.
Mm.
So um, one day, and I think it was sometime around May, Beck, who happened to be a friend in Facebook, messaged me. She said, "Hey, we were having this workshop. Would you want to join?" And I said, I've always been open to like anything like this. I would go and sense if makes sense. There's the combination of logic and as well as intuition.
Mhm.
So sure, let me go. So when I joined the workshop, um, and then immediately when Master Delphi started talking, I'm just like, there's something to learn here. And so I did, have a conversation with him. There was, a series of, conversations. And when they brought up the third eye,
Mm.
I was like, there's a reason that I actually,
Mm.
I'm having this conversation. My soul did not just lead me here for nothing. Um, and the way that I actually approach this, like people would say, like it's mystical, but it's really not that mystical. Is it logical? And does it feel right? Because that feeling right is really more of it's where kind of like the intuition comes in.
Mhm.
And it did. So when I was presented the opportunity, I'm just like, yes, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in.
Mhm.
And here to the question of, I mean, you asked earlier as to what led me here. mean,
Mhm.
obviously, because I've been in search for my purpose.
Yeah, I
A
wanna
lot of
yeah, I wanna ask that question. Have you always, since you were young, you've been searching for that purpose, or did it hit you one point in your life? So you're an old soul,
um,
always been searching.
I've I've since I was young, I've
Mm,
always had that thought. I grew up in a Philippines, Philippines, um, family and community that are very Catholic.
mm,
Uh, it's very dogmatic in a way that you go to church, but truly, what does that mean? Uh, so I've always questioned
mm,
the why. I've always had this
mhm,
really inner knowing is what is my purpose, but it got think when I hit my early 30s that it became so strong of
okay.
why am I here? And then, it's like a 10-year road of questioning the purpose. And I bet you there are so many people that are
Mm,
going through the same,
mm,
except that there's this so much noise in the world of,
yeah.
oh, as long as you're supporting your family, that's a purpose in itself. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, isn't that a given? But you as a soul, if you believe that you have a soul,
Mhm,
what are you here to do? Because that soul is here in this physical body, do something to grow and evolve, to bring back to your soul. So, I mean, the whole the loving and the serving, that's a given. But I always believe that there is that very specific purpose for that soul. So that's truly what brought me to take the third eye, being in search, seeking,
mhm,
um, and there's so many thoughts of what is the third eye,
yeah.
you know. People be just like, oh, you're gonna get a power. I'm like, okay, well, I think that is
Yeah.
like
Because
and
yeah,
I see that a lot. I hear that a lot.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I'm just like. Um, Well, if you're in a spiritual path
Mm,
to gain, those superficial type of power, good luck to you. But my purpose for taking this path is really growth.
okay.
Is really to solidify what is my sole purpose in this physical body in this lifetime.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Grace. So before you took this workshop, we have all had concepts of what a third eye is, right? I'm sure
Uh,
you had the concept before. So I'd like to ask you, what was your concept before, and what is it now after taking the workshop?
True. Yeah, so my concept of third eye is like, I mean, I was familiar with the chakras.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with third eye chakras, right, right. And by the way, that this is where I also, one of the things that I've learned in the course, there is a misconception that the third eye is ajna.
Yes.
It isn't, right? So when I went to course, I thought that the third eye is in the ajna. I'm like, no, it actually isn't. It's actually in the middle. It's inside. It's kind of like connecting all those head chakras. So that's one. The number two, in terms of what it does, though, it hasn't changed. Where yeah, it's I'd say where that wisdom and intuition and insight, foresight reside.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say it's quite a very very powerful tool. You
Yes.
know when and I was just talking to my husband about this yesterday about
Mhm.
how when making decisions, especially when making decisions, it's using this faculties versus this faculties or the lower faculties makes a huge, huge difference. And that for me, I'd say is one out of the many, many valuable benefits that I have learned from the course,
Yeah. So do
as
you
well as
Mhm. Go ahead.
gaining clarity. I
Yes.
found the answer for
Hmm.
my why.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I can tell you, Rory, I can tell you how much I was uh, I was rejoicing the moment it hit.
Okay. Okay. So you feel really different right after the course? Because I, for one, after taking it, I feel so much stronger, so much more confident, knowing that I have a tool, and it's different from the externals that I had before. And I probably, right? How is it
Oh,
for you?
totally. No, I can tell you right now, there's this surge of creativity. There's this surge of insight. There's this surge of it's yeah. I mean, call it quite powerful. Um, yeah, it is amazing how for me now there's so much clarity as to the
Mhm,
path. Like when I know immediately when it's time to stop.
mhm,
Like I know when it's time to like make it, like make a way again.
mhm,
It's just that knowing and clarity without doubting yourself and second guessing what you're doing. It's that I have to tell you is it's that's a big difference for me.
mhm. And the manifesting is so much faster, right?
Oh God, yes. Oh, Rory, we will be talking. I hope in a year and a few years right here, and yeah, because I'm working on a project, and I can tell you right now that I'm just like the manifesting part. When I found out what my why is, the purpose of the soul in my physical body, I mean, it was pretty quick. It was just like business plan was up. I know the way, and through the third eye as well,
Mhm,
I was able uh, to have the insight of who's going to be my co-founder.
mm,
It's that powerful.
mhm. Okay, that's wonderful. So what's your biggest takeaway aside from you're feeling different? What's your biggest takeaway or takeaways?
Okay, many.
Okay.
One of it though, and this is really for those who are interested in taking this course or taking into this path is um, first is learning learning the basics of living that we were never taught in school,
Mhm,
more likely unless you grew up in a spiritual and more advanced spiritually type of environment or family. You've never learned it. A great example would even be what would be your protocol when you do meditation. There's a lot of schools out there. There's a lot of just noises in terms of like, oh, just meditate, just quiet your mind.
mhm,
No, this one right here is, I'd say, is the foundation of living a vibrant, balanced life. So that's really number one takeaway is it did provided me with the I'd say structure
mhm,
of the right and proper and safe way to practice, the meditation and what do you really need. Understanding, here's one of the key takeaways too, is understanding who you are. And I'm talking about not just on the physical level, but we're talking about the energetic level,
mhm,
like even understanding the anatomy of the energy. Like, where does your intuition reside? Where does your instinct reside? Where does that willpower reside? And that's one of the things. Many things is like, when I kind of feel like, okay, I need more boosting of my willpower, I go to those,
mhm,
chakras and work through them. Or I'm feeling depleted right now. What would you do? So there's so many things apart from creating that structure, learning how to even heal yourself. Because once you understand how your body functions and call it self development, self mastery, then you just know, okay, this is hurting. What do I do? Or I'm feeling, let's say I'm feeling very emotional right now. What do I do? Right. So those are I'm just like, dang, this is like, $100,000 of stuff if you actually accumulate. Um, But like anything else, I have to say that it works if you do the work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yes, uh, we do learn so many things. Even I know exactly what you're saying. You get to heal yourself. Your intuition is really different from before the course, right? And for me, the manifesting is really, it's so fast, unbelievable, unbelievable fast, right?
It is. I mean, I have to say it's yeah, it's and I think it boils down to like what I said earlier. Um, when you're so clear with your path, you no longer doubt it. You just go.
Yeah. That is correct. So this is great what we're talking about. You know, the seekers will understand, but how do you ground it for the people who are watching who are not as mystical or as esoteric? How do you ground it? How do the tools help you in your everyday life that you ground it in a grounded way?
Uh, I mean, I think the practice in itself is actually grounded. Here's where I'd say where a lot of people would probably think it's mystical. No, it isn't mystical
Mm-hmm.
because even just okay, look at Be Alive, like the vitality movement. I mean, that's not mystical,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at it, I mean, okay, so even science would say this. What would science say? Science would say you go to a doctor, doctor would say exercise, right? Science would say that breath work, like it does make a difference in our well-being. I mean, those are grounded. And I say grounded because they are evidence-based. We're not talking about something that's not proven. So what Master Dilpe has been teaching is actually grounded. It's just that and I see this more from the people who call it very mystical, is perhaps coming from a place of bias
Mm-hmm.
rather than truly trying it and seeing if it's this really something way out there, or if this is something that I'm just like, yeah. So I don't feel like there's even the grounding because in itself it is grounded.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. So, Grace, there's a lot of people who will be watching this, a lot of seekers out there. People who were like you and like me, who couldn't find the path, they didn't know where we were. We were going through a dark night of the soul, right? We went through it. And there are people out there who are watching this, going through the dark night of the soul. Do you have any message for them?
Uh my message, gosh, go with an open mind. Do not resist. I was just there's interestingly, I've had quite a lot of people since I've taken this path that I have been attracting.
Mm,
And my uh, most of them, I feel the resistance.
okay.
Like the resistance of yeah, but this, yeah, but that. There's just all this alibis or excuse. So my advice is let go of these alibis or questions. Stop thinking. Go with an open mind.
Okay. So thank you very much, Grace. Appreciate very much this interview. And to all those out there who are watching this, those who are going through their dark night of the soul, those who are lost, there is a way. I just want to say there is a way you can be helped. And like what I went through, what Grace went through, we attended this workshop and it's called the Third Eye Workshop. It will really, really help you. You might be interested. Just get in touch with us, right?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you very much, Grace. And thank you. Wishing you all the best and looking forward to meeting you in person and to seeing you on other workshops.
Thank
Okay.
you, Rory.
Bye.
Bye.